Hello, everybody. Greetings to all. Welcome to the Snooker Hall Podcast. I'm Dan Moan. It's good to be back. It's been a few weeks since the last episode. I have been away on holiday for a while, taking my mind off work, life, and for the most part, taking my mind off snooker too. I say for the most part because I did watch some snooker. I was going to be in Asia for a few weeks anyway, so I rejigged a few flights so that my trip started in Hong Kong rather than ended in Hong Kong, and that way I could go to the World Grand Prix final. I'll stop saying I and we actually because my wife was there too. We were at the Kai Tak Sports Park in Kai Tak Arena in Hong Kong. It's a really good venue. It's modern, it's clean, it's inviting, the seats are comfortable and spacious. It's a decent place to watch snooker. It's easy to get to from the action areas in Hong Kong, very good transport links. The weather was great, a very pleasant 22 degrees on that day. The air conditioning inside the building, perfect. Sometimes you go to an arena and the air conditioning is blasted and you feel a little bit chilly, but no, it was a very pleasant experience inside the arena. Food options in Kai Tak Arena are limited. There's one place that has drinks, but there are 3 shopping malls within a 5-minute walk, and each of those has a load of restaurants, so it's not a huge problem. After the earlier than expected conclusion to the final, my wife and I visited a bowling alley. I'm a better bowler than I am a snooker player, but it was still fun. The match, the event, the spectacle. Rob Walker, who I bumped into on the Sunday, was his usual energetic self, but to be honest, you could have had Frank Sinatra in that role and he wouldn't have got a reaction from the crowd. The players' entrances fell so flat. The walk-on is so long. It was like a WrestleMania entrance, and Rob almost had to beg the audience in silence, because we were live, to maintain the applause until the player reached the table. Otherwise, Stuart and Neil would just walk into the table in silence, and it just seemed... Part of that is due to attendance, actually. It's a big arena, 4,000 I've heard. I've also heard up to 5,000 is the full capacity. But the one table setup only required half the space available. The yellow side of the table, we'll call it, was flanked by temporary seating, almost like fancy bleachers. Beyond that, it was just an empty half of the arena, unlit space. So it is hard for a 20% full arena to fill that space with sound. I get it. Distance from the table was an issue as well. I was in the 10th row. I prefer a more elevated view. It was a decent vantage point, but I did feel that I was quite far from the action. I posted some pics on social media if you want to check them out. But yeah, 20% full at the start. I'm not exaggerating. As the match got underway, yeah, it was 20, maybe 25% full. After the first frame, there was a huge influx of people, hundreds of latecomers. After 3 frames, I would say that it went up to maybe 75%, maybe even 80% full in terms of what seating there was. That's not bad, but not as good as WST were hoping for, I'm sure. The fancy armchairs behind the balk area, they were mostly empty for the afternoon session. I saw 3 people sitting in them. I can't remember how much they were charging for those, but I can't imagine it was cheap. During what there was of the evening session, I did see Jason Ferguson come along with some people and filled those seats, or some of those seats at least. And actually, speaking of the evening session, back to Rob Walker, I said hello earlier that day, and during our conversation, here's a little interesting fact about Rob Walker. During our conversation before the evening session, I discovered that he was totally unaware of the memes about Gary Barlow's son. So, for those unaware, Gary Barlow's son is very tall. And this has been a point of humour online in memes, GIFs, jokes. I assume Rob might have heard something about this, but no, he didn't have a clue what I was talking about. He mentioned that my wife is pretty tall. She's, 5'10", 5'11". And he mentioned that his son is quite tall. I said, not as tall as Gary Barlow's son, though. And he didn't have a clue what I was talking about. So maybe he just thinks I'm a nutter. Rob's skill came to the fore before the evening session broke off. He had to keep the crowd warm to keep the buzz going for about 15-20 minutes while the refereeing team fixed an issue with the scoreboard. He did a great job improvising, and eventually somebody managed to find some merchandise, t-shirts and soft toys for him to give to audience members, and that really helped him out. He managed to drag that out until the issue was sorted. I could see from my vantage point on the green side of the table, just beyond the book area, but on the right-hand side as we look at it on the screen, I could see Leo Scullion and Paul Collier, two friends of the podcast, at the referee's desk working on getting things going. I said to Leo Scullion later on that I saw him skulking around the referee's desk, and he said, it made me laugh, he said he doesn't skulk, he sneaks. So, yeah, it made me laugh. But there was a match as well. There was a match. The final, it was one-sided on the scoreboard, but Stuart Bingham can feel hard done by because 10-0 is not a true reflection of that final. Stuart struggled to get momentum going, but he could easily have won 3, 4, maybe even 5 frames. And it could have been, he said it himself and Neil said it could have been 6-4 or 5-5. 10-0 it looks harsh on Stuart. It wasn't a good day for him on the table, but as he said in his post-match interview, it was a worse week for him off the table. There are more important things in life than snooker. He had a bereavement in the family, and someone else very close to him had passed away recently as well. We've all been there. It's tough to focus, and just like the rest of us, he's only human. But what can Neil do? Neil can't just gift him the final. That would be even worse. Neil has to just play the opponent who's in front of him. And he did it. 10-0. It happened that way. Stuart will get over it. He's a seasoned pro. He's had defeats before. He's had victories before. That's snooker. Stuart then said on Instagram that his flight was delayed by 14 hours. Oh. As it happened, my wife and I were flying to Taipei from Hong Kong that afternoon. So Stuart and I, we were in the airport at the same time. I did send him a message hoping we could meet up, but he was in a different part of the airport and I didn't have time before my flight was due to leave. Maybe next time. But the final word, he's already got a few words, but the final word goes to Neil Robertson. He was ruthless. His style of play, it's slowly evolving as the season has gone on. When he won in Brentwood, the English Open, I was there and watching that one as well. I'm a good luck charm for Neil, I'm just going to say that. Every time, I've seen him, I think it's 5 times live this season, and he's won every single time. Just saying. I did, tongue-in-cheek, offer my services if he wants a good luck mascot. He didn't get back to me. But when he won in Brentwood, he wasn't full-flow Neil Robertson. And on another day, Wu Yiza might have actually nicked that final from him. But this was peak Neil Robertson, and we've seen it since as well in the Players' Championship, which I'll address in a moment. Neil Robertson looks good. And maybe it's recency bias, but he just looks like he has that killer instinct. He doesn't look like missing. And his long putting, some of those putts were top class. He's looking good. He will be a threat at the World Championships. So roll on the Crucible. The snooker did not end there. After the curtain came down on the World Grand Prix, the Q Tour playoffs took place in Antalya, Turkey. 3 players have followed Zhao Zintong in qualifying from the Q Tour. Congratulations to Liam Highfield, Stephen Holworth, and Florian Nussler. Liam Highfield defeated Julian Boyko 10-3. Julian Boyko quickly recovered from this setback and promptly won the ESBA European Under-21 Snooker Championship to earn himself a 2-year WST card as well. So congratulations to both of those. Stephen Holworth defeated Mark Joyce I managed to watch this one on YouTube, on my phone, in a little pub in Taipei. A massive moment in that final was Stephen going 9-5 up, first to 10. The score was 8-5. Stephen had a chance to go 9-5 up. He missed. And had Mark stolen the frame at 8-6, I'm going to say it would have been game on. But Stephen managed to nick it. He got over the line in that frame, in frame 14, to move within one frame of victory, to move within one frame of a return to the main tour. Stephen is a really nice bloke, a great snooker man, and I wanted him to win. When he went 9-5 up, I let out a little shout, and I did get a quick, strange look from some of the locals. I've been more embarrassed than that. So Stephen and Liam return to the Pro Tour. They're both great players, and they've both earned a return to the Tour as well. The Q Tour, not easy. Dave Hendon said it perfectly. Sometimes you have to suck up a bit of pride and go through the process of working your way back to the big table. And they did it. Fair play to both of them for their attitude, for their talent, and for their success. The third player to win at the Q Tour playoffs was Florian Nussler, who will become Austria's first pro snooker player. He defeated Andres Petrov in the final 10-3. Big scoreline. Andres was so gracious in defeat, though. He spoke with class. He's a really good player. He's, just like Stephen, he's a really, really top bloke. And I have no doubt that he will find his way back to the Pro Tour very soon. Speaking of that final, I'm very happy to announce that later this week, Florian Nussler will join me on the Snooker Hall Podcast to discuss his career to date and what the future holds for him on the Pro Tour. So keep an eye on your podcast feed for that episode. Congratulations once again to Florian Nussler, Stephen Horwath, Liam Highfield, and Julian Boyko for qualifying for the main tour. I'm recording this on Monday morning, the morning after the Players' Championship came to a conclusion in Telford. As I said, I was away. I didn't see much of the early rounds at all, and I'll go into that in a moment. I did watch a few frames of Neil Robertson versus Mark Selby. I predicted a 6-4 win for Mark Selby. What do you know? One of my predictions was wrong. That seems to be the way it goes. I was in a bar. I was in Japan. So live access on WST was an option there, a legal option. So I don't feel bad about watching it there. I got to say, the stream quality really good, even on a not that great Wi-Fi connection in a bar on the outskirts of Hiroshima. I could watch what I did see of the match with no trouble whatsoever. So big shout out to WST for that option. Otherwise, I would have missed the match. I did watch the final, though, at home, on my telly. It was a strange affair, actually, that match. Judd Trump, he was out of sorts. He was missing some easy shots you would never expect him to miss had he been on top form. Dave Hendon said it. Again, I'm quoting Dave Hendon, but I said it also. Judd Trump may not have been as good in 2025 as he was in the later stages of 2024. I mean, he's made a final and he's lost a final by one frame. So, God, these are the standards we're expecting from Judd Trump. It seems that we're never satisfied unless he's romping to 10-2 victories every week. But even though he was out of sorts, he still should have won that match. And that is ominous. Yes, Kyren picked up the trophy this time, but Judd, even a 70% Judd Trump, I'm going to say that was, he should have won that match. He had chances, just a few pots one way or the other, and he wins that match 10-5. It's the way it goes sometimes. Judd has suffered close defeats like that in the past. He's also won very close matches like that in the past. May I draw your attention to the final in Riyadh in the Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters? He had no right to win that final frame, but his class came through. This time it didn't go his way, but he clearly will be one of the main threats at the Crucible. I've got to say, in that final deciding frame, the double he took on, wow. Nerves of steel, guts, cojones, call it what you want. That gave him the chance to win the deciding frame. He put himself in a position to win. Then that thin cut, potting that red into the middle soon after. That break was the work of a world-class player, even not on top form. Okay, it didn't win him the frame, and he eventually went on to lose the match, but he gave himself a chance, and that's what the best players do. They find something close to a way, even when they're out of sorts. But Kyren Wilson was ruthless. He punished these misses. The 6th, 7th, and 8th frames for Kyren, they were key. He should not have won those. Judd should have taken them. Judd had the chances, missed an easy chance, and it was kind of Higginsy from Kyren Wilson, and that's a big compliment. But on another day, Judd takes those chances. Either way, these two are the benchmark right now. Neil Robertson, Mark Selby, and Shaun Murphy are close, but Judd, Trump, and Kyren Wilson are top of the class. And speaking of Kyren Wilson, he continues to impress. 4 ranking titles in the season after he became world champion. I said after he won the 2nd ranking event that would have been in Belfast, that he's clearly not satisfied with just being world champion and just doing a victory tour. He wants to have a victory tour on the victory tour. But now he's up to 10 ranking titles. He's level with Jimmy White. Okay, he lost the Masters final to Shaun Murphy. It was a close match. It was a good match. I was there to see it. He got a bit of stick for his comments after the match. I don't think he should have. He's just lost the Masters final. He's not going to be jumping for joy. He said something that, some people didn't like. Great. We'll get over it. I think he made a little reference to that in his victory speech, because Judd, not jumping for joy, having lost a 10-9 decider. Kyren said that he knows what it's like to be in Judd's position, and it's hard to say the right thing. I think that was a little bit of a dig back at the people who've unfairly criticised him, and good for him. He's not bowing down to pressure, and if there's one thing Kyren Wilson is, he's himself. He's not afraid to be himself and to say what he feels. So maybe that's not a bad thing in snooker. But just like when he won in Berlin, this came down to a 10-9 victory. At 9-8, he could have won. He didn't. His opponent forced the decider, but Kyren still had, I'll say the same as Judd, nerves of steel, guts, cojones. This is the mark of a great player. Ronnie O'Sullivan said it himself. Kyren is not a good player. He's not even a very good player. He's now a great player. And when he's playing well, he doesn't look like missing. He's taken on more ambitious shots because he knows he can do it. And he's proven he can do it. Last season and this season especially. If anything, this season might be more impressive than his World Championship win. There's been no complacency, no resting on the laurels. His ambition, his ruthlessness, his killer instinct is coming through. And I said that Neil Robertson will be a threat at the World Championship. It goes without saying that Kyren Wilson will be too. There's a lot of people who think that he could break the Crucible curse. Only time will tell, but it looks like he's given himself a really good shot at doing it. However, before we get to Sheffield, snooker passes through Manchester for the Tour Championship. A quick negative before we discuss this. I know it is the nature of the beast with these events, but let's look at the format. I never liked the move to the top 12. I always felt it should be the top 8. However, in this case, maybe the top 12 being involved could be a blessing, because had it just been the top 8, the quarterfinals of the Tour Championship would be a complete rerun of the quarterfinals of the Players' Championship. That's not good. The top 4 go straight through to the quarterfinals. Then seeds 5 to 8 play against seeds 9 to 12 for the chance to face the top 4 in the quarterfinals. If the higher seeds win those qualifying matches, then, as I said, we will get an exact replica of the quarterfinal lineup, just 2 weeks apart. Now, this is just another argument. It's another weapon for those who believe that the Players' Series events are scheduled too close together on the calendar, and there must be a way to have a longer gap between them. I don't want to say I want a certain player to win a certain match, but it would be nice if one of the lower seeded players did win in that qualifying playoff round. Otherwise, we're just getting the same tournament again. I mean, the Tour Championship is one of the biggest tournaments of the season, and I suppose to have a risk that the fans will get bored of repeat matches, that's not a good thing. I don't have a solution, but I'll try to be positive. It should be a great event. That is a wrap for today. Thank you for checking out the Snooker Hall Podcast, and thank you for listening. If you could take a moment and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, a 5-star review, that is, it would help other snooker fans discover this podcast. If you want to get in touch, share an opinion, a story, a question, the email address is contactus@thesnookerhall.com. Look out for the episode with new snooker pro Florian Nussler coming soon. Enjoy the Tour Championship, and until next time, take care.